skeleton, and I thought, well, why not me and why not now? And I went for it.
Thank you.
Out Clay from iRadio Philly. Why choose the skeleton? Out of all of the sports you could have chosen.
That's the question. Right. The most terrifying sport in all of the Olympic Games. Why that sport, right? Yes, it was quite daunting, but again, it really for me was about breaking this barrier that I felt that needed to be broken. It was about representation. It was really about showing people, particularly young African girls, that anything is possible. I come from a country with no snow, no ice. There's a lot of barriers into getting into a sport like skeleton, and I thought if I could show up and be there, that would be a point of inspiration for people, and to show them that we can overcome challenges and make it to anywhere we want to go to.
Yeah, how did you overcome those barriers? No snow, no ice. How did you find that, and so that you could get to a level where you could compete?
The barriers are massive, like I mentioned, financially, environmentally, etc. But I think for me, it was all about pushing through those mental barriers and the physical barriers. So I had just about 100 days between when I decided to go for it and when the Olympics actually were. And so I just put it all on the line. I have a lot of great people supporting me, my teammates and my company. At the time I was working at Nike as a marketing manager. They supported me, and so it was something that really the community helped me, carried me to get to that goal. And so I just, bit by bit, I took the skills that I had from a track and field background, the athleticism, and threw that talent onto a sled, and it worked out. So, yes.
So what's your message to women? You know, because women are entering places that they historically have not been invited to be in, and they're inviting themselves now. What is your message to the women like that?
It's just that. You don't need an invitation. You just show up. The power of showing up is very real, and I feel that that's one of the key lessons that I learned in my journey. I just showed up. What I didn't make sense. At the time I was 36 years old, in a 10-year retirement from track and field. I was not thinking about sport, but I felt a bigger calling to really be part of how I could shift the narrative around what people have come to expect from African women. So I think the message is all you need to do is just show up and start from somewhere and see where that takes you.
What about for young women? You know, we talk about women all the time, but what about the youngsters? How are you motivating them? How are you getting to them and helping them to do and reach their goals in life?
Yeah, so for me, helping young women reach their goals in life has been my number one task since I returned from Pyeongchang. I've been working with young women all across the continent of Africa. It's been about 600 or so that I've personally mentored since my time after the Olympics, across countries like Morocco, Nigeria, Kenya, in South Africa as well. I've designed a leadership curriculum which teaches young girls the core competencies of leadership, and it's based in the principles of sports, so they learn life skills like teamwork, discipline, negotiation, and I think it's about starting from a young age and helping them realize their own power, giving them the skill sets, and enabling them to be the best that they can be. So that's how I'm personally investing in young women across the continent. I'm looking to scale that program more and reach as many girls as possible.
What would you like your legacy to be?
My legacy would be one of hope and inspiration, and that it is possible to do what many people see as impossible. I think if people walk away from my story believing that for themselves, then that's a great legacy.
Who do you look up to? Who do you admire when you decided to do this, and do you draw your courage from?
There's so many people that you can take courage and inspiration from, but particularly for me, I looked up to Serena Williams. We're about the same age. I think maybe I'm a tad bit older, but we're peers. So as she was coming up in tennis, I paid a lot of attention to her and her sister Venus. In fact, so much so that when I'm competing now in skeleton, I wear beads because I feel that it pays homage to that legacy that they left when they were breaking barriers in tennis. They always used to wear those beads when they first burst onto the scene. So every time you see me competing in the sport of skeleton, I'm usually wearing white and green beads just to pay respect to that. But I watched Serena a little while ago at the US Open. She is a fierce competitor. and a great businesswoman and an overall just phenomenal woman. So I really take a lot of inspiration from her, and she's very courageous.
What is next for you?
What is next for me? I'm currently right now at Yale. I'm a Yale World Fellow. The World Fellowship is a leadership program which basically brings 16 leaders from all around the world focused on different areas of impact. So there's politicians, there's people in health, people across the spectrum, but we all kind of have a shared kind of hope and goal to make the world a better place. And so for the next few months, I'm focused on kind of increasing my capacity to lead, and that leadership program is going to help cultivate that. That's immediate, but in the long term, I'm looking forward to the next Olympics. I'm training towards Beijing 2022, and I want to continue to make my impact around young women, how I can help them become leaders. My number one goal is to build female leaders in Africa, and whatever role I can do in playing that, that's kind of what's next for me.
How difficult is it to train for the Olympics and also do what you do? It has to be difficult.
Training for the Olympics